Today we are going to talk about reading comprehension. We will discuss what it is, the skills that make it up, and discuss some ways we can work on our reading comprehension in any of our classes. Comprehension is the ability to make meaning out of a text. Now this can be done through the knowledge and skills in 5 different areas. These areas are decoding, fluency, vocabulary knowledge, background knowledge, and knowledge of comprehension strategies. So the first area of skills to build our comprehension is decoding. Decoding is the ability to use letter-sound relationships to decipher words. So an example you can see here is the word crayon. If I want to be able to fully understand a text that has the word crayon in it, I'm going to need to be able to read that word through decoding. So I need to know that the letter C makes the k sound, and I need to know that the R makes the r sound. Well, in the beginning of this word is kr then, so I would do this for the rest of the word and hopefully be able to identify that the full word is crayon, which may help me understand the rest of the meaning of the text. The next skill we have to build our comprehension is fluency. Fluency is the ability to read with accuracy, proper expression, tone, and speed. When I say speed, remember that this does not necessarily mean reading as fast as you can. You can still read fast, but be able to process the information because you want to make sure that you can take away that information and remember it later. The third skill for comprehension is vocabulary knowledge. Now, vocabulary knowledge is the ability to understand what each word in the text means, as well as the depth of that knowledge. One example of your vocabulary words this quarter is red herring. If I give you a worksheet that asks you to find the red herring in a text without it being given to you, you wouldn't know what you're being asked to do, right? So you also want to be able to apply this vocabulary word. When I say depth, I mean how well you know what that word means in all contexts. The fourth skill to comprehension is background knowledge. Background knowledge is the knowledge of information that is essential to a story, phrase, or question. For example, I would never give you a quiz on calculus when you have never even taken calculus because you don't have that background information yet, right? It's the same with language arts. I explicitly taught you what a red herring is, and now with that knowledge, and I ask you to find a red herring in a text, you would be able to know how to do that because you know exactly what you're looking for. The fifth and final major skill to comprehension we will discuss is knowledge of comprehension skills. This includes just knowing what comprehension is, which after this PowerPoint, you will. The other part to this skill is knowing strategies. Today I want to give you a few strategies you can use for comprehension in any of your classes when you are given something to read. One strategy you can use when you're given any text, fiction, nonfiction, persuasive, informational, anything, is a story map. You can do this in a scrap piece of paper and label it with whatever it is you want to make sure that you remember later. For example, I know I want to remember any character names as well as what happens in the beginning, middle, and end of a text. This will make it easier for me to remember the plot of the text so I can take away more meaning from it. It also holds me accountable for comprehending the text. In my class for language arts, I usually give you some sort of story map that I have you and your classmates fill out during our lessons and activities so you can keep track of the information. Your other teachers may do this for you too, and it is essentially a different way of taking notes that will benefit you in your comprehension so you can learn the most of the information. The last strategy I'm going to share with you is just using a highlighter. This may not always be an option with materials you receive, such as your textbooks. However, many of your teachers give you paper copies of the text we want you to use for your activities. You can also highlight in documents on your school laptops as well. When you go through a text, you can use a highlighter to emphasize important information for you to come back to later, as well as organize the most important pieces of the text. Highlighting also keeps you accountable for understanding what you are reading so that you can make the choice to include this in the most important pieces of information for you to remember later. Highlighting can be a really great way to improve comprehension in your reading for any of your classes. So this can include just reading a question so that you know what they're asking. Now we know all about comprehension skills and what comprehension is. So remember that these skills are decoding, fluency, vocabulary knowledge, background knowledge, and knowledge of comprehension strategies. We also have 2 new strategies to help us improve our comprehension: story maps and highlighting. There are many, many more resources out there to help your comprehension grow even more. That concludes our lesson on comprehension for the day, and now you can begin applying it in your classes and in your work.